Hi guys, welcome back to another Vlogmas video. Today we're going to be rewinding 2 years back to my favorites video of 2021. I'm going to look and see how many of the products have stood the test of time, how many am I still using 2 years later, and also which ones am I not using. There are also a few that are discontinued, so that's a little bit sad. One of these did make me very sad. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We've got 21 products to talk about. The first item on the list is handmade earrings, and this one made me so sad because the particular pair that I was talking about were these beautiful acrylic earrings, and they have since been broken. My husband accidentally dropped them like a year ago at this point, and I was so upset. I tried to reorder them, but the shop was already completely sold out. So yeah, if I still had those, I think that they would still be some favorites of mine, but they broke and there was like no fixing them. So unfortunately, I do not have those anymore, but I do have another pair of earrings from the same shop and I love them. So I will link this shop down below. Her Instagram used to be called Hello Morning Sunshine, but now it is like Sunshine Studio, I think. And she just has the prettiest earrings, and she has a bunch of Taylor Swift stuff. If you guys are Taylor Swift fans, like she has a ton of Taylor Swift products, but this is one of my favorite designs from her. I love these pearl earrings. You've probably seen me wearing them in videos before, but they're so pretty and dangly. I love the pearl design, how she has kind of the gradient from the larger ones down to the smaller ones. And I love that the pearl is also on like the stud part of the earring. So I'm still really loving handmade earrings, especially still from that shop. And I think Paige makes really great products. Number 2 on the list were clothing pieces from Lauren Conrad's line, specifically at Kohl's. Now in the specific video, I mentioned a shirt and a dress, and I still have the dress. I don't know if I still have the shirt or not, but the shirt did get like a pretty large hole in it. And it also like doesn't really exactly fit quite right anymore. So I don't wear them exactly anymore, like those specific pieces, but I do still wear my pieces from Lauren Conrad a lot. I'm not really sure how I got the hole in the shirt. Like it could have been from, you know, washing it or drying it, but I think we were pretty good about air drying that shirt in particular, but I'm not really sure. That's the first time I've ever had like a hole in one of her pieces, but I did wear that shirt a lot, so maybe that's why. I still think she has really pretty designs, but as I've kind of been looking at her designs for a few years now, it seems to be pretty similar, so you're not getting like a ton of variety in the pieces, and my style has changed a little bit as well, so I don't necessarily shop from her as much as I used to, but I still do like some of her pieces kind of every now and then. But this one I would say is kind of like a so-so for me now. When I go to Kohl's and look at that kind of section of clothing like Lauren Conrad, Nine West, and Vera Wang, I'm tending to lean more towards the Nine West or Vera Wang pieces nowadays. So I would say that I'm not exactly kind of following that same style as I used to, but I still do really like her clothing. All right, next up was the IT Confidence in a Cream Moisturizer. Yes, I still love this one, especially now that it's getting colder outside. I love this one for my dry skin. I've got about maybe a quarter of this left, if not a little bit less than a quarter, I would say. But yeah, I still really like this one. I will say though, the Plum Plump Rescue from Glow Recipe has really given this one a run for its money. It's much more of like a lightweight formula, so I love it for daytime, but this is still my go-to, especially when my skin is extra dry, when it's cold outside, and it's my go-to for a nighttime moisturizer. So yes, I still stand by this one. I still think it's such a great moisturizer. Next up, I mentioned some face products from Remedy. These are amazing. So I still have the face oil one. I actually just recently used up the toner that I used. I forgot what that one was called. She has a couple different ones, and I just used up the one that I had, but I still really love these products. These are all natural products. They're handmade. They're just lovely. I really love the face oil one. The face oil and the toners are my 2 favorites. And yeah, again, with this product, I still stand by this, and I still think that they're really great products. Okay, 2 more that I also still stand by. I just repurchased these. I literally just got these in the mail 2 days ago from repurchasing them. These are both from Eva NYC. These are the texture spray and the hair mask. So I love these still. I've used up 2 of the hair mask, and I've used up 1 of the texture spray. I don't use a ton of hair product when I style my hair, so it did take me a while to use it up, but I do really like the texture spray. You really only need like 1 spray for each side of your hair, in my opinion. You can build it up though. It's just gonna get very textured very quickly. But yeah, I still love these so much. They're so affordable. I picked both of these up on their Black Friday sale, and I'm very glad to have, especially this one, back in my collection. I actually haven't had this since January of this year or maybe December of last year because I cut my hair really short, so I didn't really need a hair mask anymore, but I am very glad to have this again, and now that my hair is getting a little bit longer, these are such great products. So far, I'd say we're off to a good start. 2021 me apparently knew what she was talking about with some of these favorites, and the next one is really no different. So the next one was from ColourPop. I have this one in my collection still. This is the Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist, the Pretty Fresh Setting Mist, and I also mentioned the Pretty Fresh Primer, which I still do love that one. But I've used up the primer in the last couple of months and I just haven't repurchased it yet because I do have other primers in my collection. So I don't have the primer in my collection to show you guys right now, but yes, I still love these just as much as I used to. I will say that I do have some setting sprays that I do prefer over this one now just because they give me more longevity, but I love this one because it makes my makeup like really melt into place. I just don't find that it really helps a lot with longevity, but I love the way that it smells. It's very subtle and I really like how it makes my makeup look as soon as I first spray it on. Okay, another one that I'm still obsessed with. I mentioned the face palette from the Lip Bar. I have mine in the colorway Go Off, which is the lightest one that they offer. I still love this palette. I have since repressed a different powder into this because I completely used up the powder that it comes with. But I love this face palette because it comes with a powder, a blush, a bronzer, and a highlight. So most of the time, I feel like a face palette doesn't come with the powder. It might just come with the 3 cheek products. I love that this brand has 6 different options of their color stories, so you can find one that all 4 shades will work for you. I really, really love this product, especially if you can get it on sale. I picked mine up for like $15, I guess, back in 2021, and I'm still loving it, which I think is pretty clear because you can see I have pan in all of them. And like I said, I did completely use up the powder, and then I've now just put in a different powder into this compact just so that I could still use it as a complete face palette. Another face palette that I still love this one too. I feel like so far I'm liking all of these. This one is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Film Star Bronze and Glow Duo. I have mine in fair medium. And I have also repressed these. So I had pretty massive pan, especially in the bronzer, and I also had a pretty decent sized pan in the highlight. So I kind of crushed them up and then repressed them so that I can now work to hit pan in them again. I will say I don't use this one as much as I did in 2021. I was using it like every day in 2021, but I still do reach for this several times within a month. So I still do like this one. I feel like since I had such large pan in it, I almost wasn't reaching for it as much because I wanted to preserve it. But now that I've repressed it, it really shows me that I do still have a lot of product. So it's really encouraged me to reach into it more, but I do still really like this product. It's super expensive, but I've had it for several years and I think it's worth the price. Number 9 on the list is another palette. This one is an eyeshadow palette. This one is from Give Me Glow Cosmetics and it's the Pastel Dreams palette. I have finally hit pan on one of the shadows from this palette. As you can see, the pans in this are just massive, so it's honestly really difficult to hit pan in it. This is a very good accomplishment for me, but I still do really love this palette. Again, I don't use this one as much as I used to in 2021, but I've been wearing more subtle makeup all year, so I think that that's really why. It's nothing with the palette, it's just my preferences, but I still love this. I will not be getting rid of this. This is such a good palette, and I plan to keep this around until I can no longer use it. And this is one that'll probably end up in my makeup memory box because I just found a real love for pastel shadows, and this one really kind of ignited that love for pastels with me, and I really appreciate it for that. I really wish that they would come out with one that has smaller pans in it to where the overall size of the palette would be like half the size of this. That would be like ideal because I just can't use these up, but nonetheless, I love that palette. Okay. So number 10, this is our first one that's been discontinued. Well, technically the Lauren Conrad clothes, like those aren't really available anymore, those specific styles. So I guess it's not the first one, but I did mention the KKW Beauty lip liners and they're unavailable now. I do still really like them. I recently decluttered them into my chopping block because I have just had them for so long. And after a while, it just starts to feel a little bit weird putting that old of a product on your lips. So yeah, I don't know that those are going to be coming back into my collection. I decluttered products into like a chopping block, so they're still technically in my collection. I've put them like in the back in the closet actually, so I'm not really reaching into them, but in a couple more weeks I will be pulling them out. From the time I'm filming this, like mid-December, I will be pulling that bag of products out and deciding like what I want to pull up back into my collection. There are a couple of products that I've wished, ooh, I wish I had that in my collection, so I'm excited about that I'm actually missing some of them. But I don't know that the KKW Beauty ones will come back into my collection, because at this point I've had them for 2.5 years. And like I said, at some point it just starts to feel a little bit weird putting those products on your lips. I might have had them for longer than that, because that was one of the first things I ever posted on my makeup Instagram. So if I wanted to really scroll through, I could find when I got those. But yeah, I've had them for several years now. Okay, another lip liner that I mentioned was the NYX Nude Suede Shoes lip liner. I have actually used this one up, so I don't have it to share with you guys today, but I will definitely be picking this one back up and bringing it back into my collection at some point. This is such a favorite. I think I've gone through 4 of them now. Just a wonderful lip liner. I love it on my lips, and it's a great shade, it's a great formula, and it's super affordable. It's under $10, so that one is definitely still a favorite in 2023. I hope to replace that soon in my collection, actually. I'm glad that this is like a good reminder for me of that. Okay, well, the next product on the list I still have, and I thought it was in my purse, but I might have left it at work. I don't know. I was just using it a couple of days ago, but it is the Kaja Gloss Shot in the shade Milk Tea. I used up the mini that I mentioned in 2021. And I repurchased the full size. So I do currently have the full size in my collection somewhere. I looked through my purse and my vanity here, so I'm guessing I left it at work, unfortunately. But yeah, I still really, really love that gloss, and I especially love the shade still that it's in. I still think it's like one of the best glosses that I've ever tried. It's so glossy and juicy looking. It doesn't have any glitter flecks in it, which sometimes that's just not the look I'm going for. So I love that I have an option that doesn't have glitter flecks, and it also does not stick at all. It smells lovely. I love the packaging. I love the shade. It's really great. And all around, it's still a favorite of mine. Another repurchase of mine was this favorite from 2021, which is the Rare Beauty Concealer. I repurchased this year. I went a few months without it once I used up my old one, and I had to have it back in my collection. This is like just the perfect fixer shade, a fixer product. I've mentioned this so many times, but if you need a concealer that can go over a full face of makeup, like even with powder and everything on your face, you can add this on top and it will not disrupt the look underneath. I've had such good luck having that in my collection. It's been like a saving grace for many looks of mine, and another one that I still really love. Next up on the list is a little bit of a 2-for-1. There are these 2 palettes from Nomad Cosmetics, the America's Parks palette and then the Iceland of Fire and Ice palette. I think these are perfect examples of how I sometimes feel about products in my collection. I will sit here right now and tell you that these are still 2 of my favorite products, but if you watch my recent palette ranking video where I ranked the palettes in my collection based on actual times of usage, you will see that these did not rank very high on that list. And that's because they're more colorful color stories and I don't reach for them very often, but I still love them. I want them in my collection. I don't have any plans to like pass them along or declutter them or anything like that. I just don't wear them as frequently as some of my more neutral toned palettes, especially with like neutral browns and pinks, because these are obviously a lot more colorful, but I still do love them. I still would consider them favorites in my collection. I've also tried 3 more palettes from the brand since then, and Nomad is a brand that I just really appreciate. I like what they're doing. I feel like they're a very unique brand in comparison to a lot of the ones that are on the market right now. So yeah, I would say that these are still favorites, but I just don't use them as much, even as I did in 2021. So my life has also changed a little bit since then. My preferences have changed, so I think it makes sense. But yeah, these are such fun to have in my collection, and I don't plan on letting them go, so I still think that they're my favorites. Okay, we're over halfway through the list, and so far, all of these pretty much are still favorites, so I'm really excited about that. It makes me happy to see that a lot of these products from 2021 I'm still using now. I think that's something to draw attention to because the makeup world just moves so quickly, trends move so quickly, and it feels like when a new launch comes out, and if it takes a little bit of time to like get shipped to you and you receive it like maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks after it launches, it doesn't even feel like a new launch anymore. The makeup world is just like so oversaturated. So it really does make me happy to look back and see that a lot of these are still my favorites. You know, I spend my hard-earned money on my makeup, so it's nice to see that. That being said, ironically, the next product I actually don't have anymore, and I don't have any plans to repurchase it. I did find a what I think is a better version of this, but I used to love the Milani Weekend Brow. So that's a brow marker, and I really loved that because it replaced brow pencils for me, and it let me have like hair-like strokes in the beginning of my brows. But I have since found this one from NYX, and this is the second one from this line that I've used up now, or that I am using up. This one's almost empty too. But this is the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen. I just prefer this. I think it has better shades in their range. I have the shade Ash Brown, and I find that it works really well for my brows. That was the problem I had with the Milani one. Well, I had two problems with it. One was that the shades were very warm. They didn't really look natural in my brows. And then two was that it would really leak towards the marker part for some reason. Like a lot of product would build up there, and so sometimes it would get really messy. And I've definitely gotten that on clothes before, which is just such a bummer. But I think the NYX one is so much better. They're around a similar price point, so I honestly would just suggest, and I prefer the NYX one better. But yeah, I think that really, the Milani one really opened my eyes to that type of a product, so I still appreciate it for that, but I don't have any plans to repurchase it. The next one was from Essence. I don't have this one anymore. I've moved it to my makeup memory basket because it was such a favorite, but it was a single shadow in the shade Ironic from Essence. They don't make this one anymore. It's been discontinued for a couple of years though. It's not like a new discontinuation, but I loved that single shade. It was so pretty, but I had it for like 5 years, I think, and it was just to the point where I didn't feel comfortable using it on my eyelids anymore, so I did declutter that one, but I feel very confident that it would still be a favorite if I still could use it. The next one, oh, we got a couple here in a row that I do not like anymore. I don't have this one. The next one is the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Wand. So this is another one that I decluttered into my chopping block. I just got tired of this one. The packaging is so messy, and I now have bronzers and like contour products that I prefer over this one. I think this one is just so overhyped, and I genuinely did like it in 2021. I would never be like, oh, I love this if I didn't. I think for me, it just mostly got messy, and so when I liked the formula, I couldn't look past the mess anymore, because the longer you have it, the messier it gets, even when you try to clean it up. It's just that type of packaging, and I just really started to not like it, to where as much as I liked the formula, the messiness of the packaging was just really overpowering the appreciation and the joy that I had from that product. So I just really don't like it anymore. And then the next one, I don't know, I'm surprised that this one was on my favorites list. I honestly don't remember mentioning this on my favorites list, but I do remember liking it. It was the foundation from the brand Glowish, and something just changed, like I think about a year ago, where foundation started to sit very differently on my skin, and I wasn't liking some of my old favorites anymore. So I'm kind of assuming that that's what happened with that one. But I remember the most recent times I've used that one, it would just sit on my skin and it looked very separated. It almost looked like the Tin Man sort of a vibe, and it just wasn't what I was going for. It wasn't really my style anymore, I guess, but it also just wasn't sitting very well on the skin. That one, I do remember being a little bit finicky when I was learning how to use it, if I liked it or not, but I ultimately decided to declutter it because it just wasn't sitting on my skin well anymore. But like I said, there were several other foundations I noticed that with, so I don't know if something changed with my skin or maybe my skincare or something like that, but I did notice that with several products where it just wasn't laying right on my skin anymore. Okay, good. The next one's still a favorite, thank goodness. I feel like we had a couple there in a row that I'm not really that big of a fan of anymore, but the next one is the Ulta Beauty 3-in-1 Cheek Palette. I have the shade, or the colorway, California Sunlight, and this is still such a favorite of mine. I've also used and abused this product, and I've yet to hit pan on any of the products, but hopefully you guys can see, like, look at that dip. If I could point to the right spot, look at that dip in the highlight product, and I have a pretty equal dip in all of them. It's just a little bit harder to show on these other ones, but like I have a pretty big dip in the contour one as well. So this used to be like a very domed product, and I do have a dip in all of them, so I can tell that I've been using it, but given that this is a baked formula, it's really hard to show usage, but I think this is a great one. If you can get this on sale from Ulta, they do sales all the time. This is like top suggestion from me. This is such a good one. Okay, the next one was from Tatiana Anisa's brand, and it was her lip scrub in the cotton candy flavor or scent, and I used that one a lot, but then it dried out, so I couldn't really use it anymore. So I used up as much of it as I could, but it got very, very dry. I just didn't use it quick enough. I don't use lip scrubs every single day, so I just probably wasn't using it frequently enough, but that was a really, really great lip scrub if you use them more frequently than I do, and I loved the scent of it. It was so cute, and I actually really miss having that in my collection. The last one as well, I don't have this in my collection anymore either. I do have some of the shades, but the shades I do have are actually in my decluttered chopping block, so they're not in my active collection right now. But it is the Juvia's Mini Magic palette, Juvia's Place Magic Mini palette. I loved that one in 2021. Again, my preferences have changed. I've been wearing a lot more neutral looks this year, so it definitely makes sense to me why I'm not reaching for that one so much. But yeah, I remember I loved that one in 2021. So that to me is still like a really good palette if you like the color story. What I don't like about it is just that the matte shades I find aren't like well-rounded enough. I didn't have enough of the shades that I really feel like I need to create an eye look. So as much as I loved the shimmer shades, it just wasn't a very well-rounded palette for what I like. So I didn't reach for it very much. So ultimately I decided to depot some of my favorite shimmer shades and hold on to those and then declutter the rest. So I do still have some of them in my collection. I just don't reach for them very much, but it's nice to kind of still have them if I want to. But yeah, that one's just kind of so-so on my list now in 2023. I am very happy with how this list is looking. I really didn't pay that much attention to what was on the list. I just went and grabbed the products that I do have without really thinking about them, and then didn't really put that much thought into like, do I use these or not? Because I kind of wanted to go through the list, you know, firsthand with you guys. So I'm excited to see that I still like over half of the list from 2021. 2 years, like I said, is a long time for makeup changes, like makeup preferences to change and makeup trends and everything. So I'm really excited that I still like a lot of these. This is also opening my eyes for how long I've owned some of my makeup, because I can remember having some of these for a while when I filmed that. So now that it's even 2 years later, I'm like, ooh, yeah, I've had some of these for a long time, especially those KKW Beauty lip liners. I'm realizing, yeah, I don't need to bring those back in my collection. But that's gonna be everything for today's video. I am gonna come back in about a week with my 2022 favorites. So we'll look at that list and see if I have the same luck and if I'm still liking all of those products. So definitely stay tuned to my channel. I think that one's coming out a week from today, but definitely turn on post notifications if you guys wanna be notified every single time that I upload. I am very interested to see if 2022 is as good as 2021's products were. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow with another video. Bye guys.